Have you ever heard a local legend and thought, that's just a story? Well, that's what I thought about Devil's Creek Road. They say if you drive down it after midnight, you will see a faint red glow from the old church at the bend, the one they boarded up back in the 70s. The locals whisper it was built on cursed ground. I just thought it was another ghost story to tell around a campfire. But after what happened to me, I'll never set foot in Meade Hollow again. I was out filming for my Haunted Kentucky series, tracking down all the forgotten churches and ghost towns hidden along the back roads. That's how I first heard about Devil's Creek Church, a little white clapboard chapel sitting all alone in the woods, 5 miles off any main road. No cemetery, no houses nearby, just the church. The legend was chilling. It said the preacher there went mad back in 1952. He started claiming the devil himself was living under the floorboards of the church. Of course, his congregation just thought he'd lost his mind. But then, one Sunday morning, the church doors were found locked from the inside, and every single pew was burned black. As for the preacher, he was never seen again. Naturally, I needed footage for my channel, so I drove out there just before sunset. The further I went, the narrower the road got, until tree branches were scraping both sides of my car. It was eerily quiet. No birds, no wind, nothing but the hum of my tires and the sound of my own heart thumping in my chest. Then I saw it. The church was leaning slightly, its white paint peeling off in long strips. The cross on the steeple was bent completely backward. Someone had spray-painted "Do Not Enter" on the boarded-up doors. It was the perfect shot. I managed to pry one of the boards loose and slipped inside. The smell hit me first, thick, heavy mix of mildew, rot, and something else. Something sharp and metallic, almost like sulfur. The pews were still there, but they were warped and split from heat and time. The pulpit stood at the front, looking over the empty, scorched seats. And right behind it, almost hidden in the shadows, was a trapdoor. That's when the old story came rushing back to me. The preacher said the devil lived beneath the church. He tried to cast it out, and the floor opened up and swallowed him whole. I had to know what was down there. I grabbed the iron ring on the trapdoor and pulled. The hinges screamed in protest, a sound that echoed through the silent chapel. Below was a stone staircase, spiraling down into complete darkness. My flashlight beam flickered as I started down. Each step I took sounded like a thunderclap in that narrow, confined space. At the bottom, the stairs opened into a tunnel. The walls were made of old, wet bricks, blackened with soot. As I walked deeper, I started seeing carvings on the walls. They weren't words. They were symbol circles, upside-down crosses, and a recurring image of a figure that looked like a man with horns. The air grew hot, thick with that same sulfur smell, only stronger now. And then I heard it, a low, rhythmic humming sound. It wasn't machine, it was human, like a group of people chanting in unison. Far ahead, at the end of the tunnel, a faint red light began to glow. I could just make out shadows moving back and forth, like someone or something was pacing just out of sight. My heart was pounding, but my curiosity got the better of me. I shouted into the darkness, "Hello? Is anyone there?" Everything went silent. The humming stopped. The shadows froze. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, a voice answered from the red glow. A voice that was low and raspy. "You shouldn't be, preacher." The ground beneath my feet started to shake. The tunnel vibrated, and my flashlight flickered and went dead. Plunged into darkness, I panicked, fumbling for my phone and turning on its light. I spun around to run, and that's when I saw him. There, standing halfway up the staircase I had just come down, was a figure. It was tall and thin, wearing what looked like a dark preacher's robe. Its head was tilted to one side, its eyes reflecting the red glow from the tunnel. I froze. It smiled at me, a wide, unnatural smile, filled with teeth that were far too long. And then my phone light died, and I was in total blackness. I honestly don't remember getting back to my car. The next thing I knew, I was speeding away, my ears ringing with a strange pounding sound and the faint smell of smoke in the air. I risked a glance in my rearview mirror. Back down the road, the old church wasn't on fire in the way you'd expect. There were no flames, just that same intense red glow pulsing from inside, shining through the cracks in the walls. And I could swear, faintly carried on the night air. I could hear the chanting start again. The next day, I couldn't stay away. I went back, this time with the county sheriff. But when we got to the spot, the church was gone, vanished. All that was left was a patch of blackened, scorched earth. And right in the center of it was a hole, just big enough for a person to crawl into, leading down into the darkness. The sheriff just shrugged and said the old structure must have finally collapsed and caved in on itself. Case closed. But when I got home and finally had the nerve to check my footage, I saw something I'd missed. The camera had been running when I first entered the church. The very last frame, just before the battery died, was a close-up of the pulpit. Burned deep into the wood were 3 words, as if branded there with a hot iron: "Service never ends." So, if you ever find yourself on a back road in Kentucky and see an old, forgotten church, maybe just keep driving. Some stories are more than just stories. They are warnings. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoy exploring the unexplained with me, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do UNT miss the next investigation. Stay safe out there.